Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I feel like we're doing okay as far as straight white men, so I don't know why. I guess you're picking out Reacher just because the dude's a Christian, but he's not, like, I have a feeling he would not be happy with you saying, hey, isn't this guy great and on our side, because he's not.
Religion is dogpiled on and attacked constantly. Whether it's from weird agenda-driven morons or the constant butt of a joke by celebrity music artists, take for example Lil Nas X, who alongside others like Sam Smith or Doja Cat, are all constantly using Christian imagery in order to belittle and undermine in order to push messages or spark controversies.
Okay, fun fact. Christianity is a major religion in the United States. You may have noticed it. So Christian imagery is used a lot. An absolute shit ton. So like, being like, this artist uses Christian imagery. Yeah, no shit. Everybody uses Christian imagery because everybody knows and recognizes Christian imagery, especially in this country. So yes, they do. And this isn't like a new phenomenon. Have you heard of Life of Brian, dude?
Always look on the bright side of life. Come on!
Hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. Help me fight the algorithm. Go ahead and hit like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon for new notifications. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to a YouTube channel called InstaChurch. InstaChurch's got 73,000 subscribers. This is actually the YouTube channel done by Alan Ritchson, who I believe plays Jack Reacher in the I believe it's the Amazon series right now. Kind of a cringe name. To my understanding, this guy is super religious. But I also know, I didn't know much about his politics. And I know ENDYMIOnTv did a video about him called They Hate Him. Reacher Season 2 proves nobody likes woke characters, and Alan Ritchson rejects girl boss agenda. And I thought that was weird because the only thing I knew about his political stances was this picture that went viral of him saying, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Based as fuck. Based as fuck. But here's the deal. You go to his InstaChurch stuff, and he talks about religion a lot here. But there's a couple other videos he talks about that I think are worth going over. In fact, this is one called Why Woke is the Most Dangerous Word We Have Today.
The word woke. I hate the word woke. I think it is, for good reason, an absolutely egregious abuse of the gift of language. And I'll tell you why. I think we should be vilifying the use of this word because proper language, the specificity of language, think about the songs that I share. There's something poetic about it, but there's something so specific. It slices right to the heart of the truth of who I am or what I'm wrestling with or dealing with or pining for. The language is specific and it puts an image in your mind that is shared with the image in mind. If I've done a good job as a songwriter, we are sharing in the same image in our mind. We have a shared emotional connection that is direct and distinct. If I've done a poor job, we're singing songs about two completely different things. When we use language, we have an obligation and a responsibility to be so specific that people cannot mince our words, that people cannot misunderstand what we're getting at. But when we use a word like woke, it gives all the latitude to the hearer to fill in the blanks about what I'm actually saying. What is a woke? Is it a noun? When Ron DeSantis was recently reelected, he said, the first thing he said was Florida is where woke goes to die. Is woke a noun? Is woke a living, breathing thing? How can it go there to die? Whatever could you mean, Ron DeSantis? What could you actually be saying in your veiled contempt? Well, leave it to the hearer to fill in the blank. The word woke has come to be a substitute for whatever we hate the most, whatever we despise the most, whatever we vilify, whatever we want to rally around, whatever our monster is, that is the woke. How can woke go to die? Well, we don't want to say it because it's gross to say. I would like gay people to go die in Florida. We will wipe them out. Or transgendered people will get wiped out in Florida. Blacks, we're going to wipe them out in Florida. See, we can't say that, so we substitute it with an abusive word like woke that allows you to do the heavy lifting. What a cowardly thing to do, DeSantis.
Wow, a pretty base take so far. He's breaking down how the word woke has been abused very effectively, I think.
And anybody else who tosses that word around flippantly, waiting for somebody else to fill in the blank with their own hatred. See, when I look at the pages of Scripture, I see a painful specificity. Look at Jesus and how he speaks to people who...
I'm not really behind the religious stuff, but still, it's largely a base take here.
Need to hear the truth. One of my favorite examples of this is in Matthew 23:27, when Jesus talking to the Pharisees, the religious elite, the leaders of the day, the governors, the people in power, the people who have the ability to make monsters out of others. He said this, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean." I look at DeSantis using words like woke to vilify other individuals who have different wants and needs, who have a different biology and experience life in a different way and are looking for love in the way they best know how. When he vilifies people like that, I think of this. Oh, you look wonderful on the outside. All the trappings and trimmings of a cleaned up, gussied up politician. But you are full of dead men's bones and everything unclean with what you are doing and where you are leading people. This army of radicalized Christians who love the comfort of uniting behind a force of mayhem aimed at somebody else they don't like. Jesus left no room for doubt when talking to people. He showed us a truth and an honesty, but an enormous amount of compassion for those on the lowly side, the vilified. I'm sure if he met the transgendered, gay, black community, whoever is having the hardest time in this society that we have today, he would show an enormous amount of compassion for the worst among them. But those who love making monsters out of others, those at the top, the DeSantises of the world, the Trumps, who create chaos and carnage as they coalesce power on their own personal journey of exalting themselves, I think he would have much harsher words to say and would never stop short at a word like woke. This is why I think it's important that we cling to an objective truth in our world. And I find that through the pages of Scripture. I'm reminded of that through the pages of Scripture. And I invite you to free yourself of the nebulous nature of what our world is calling us to, and instead find something more painfully specific to hope for.
Okay, so obviously the religious stuff I'm not really signed up for, but the way he's talking, it's almost like the way he talks about religion is almost the way I wish religion was. Like a religion where everybody's more compassionate and sympathetic to each other. I want to live in the world where that is the Christianity that gets pushed the most. I want to. That is the Christianity I want to be out in the world, not the shit we currently deal with. And here's another video I thought was interesting. In response to yet another mass shooting by a white Nazi terrorist. Let's talk about comfort. Let's see what he says here.
Both my parents were in the military, so we moved around a lot, but I spent most of my childhood in Florida. I swore when I was 18 I'd leave and never come home. I want to spread my wings and fly. But when my wife and I started having kids, it made sense to have a place there near family. When I work a lot, it's anywhere but near home. I've had a presence there most of my life. So when headlines like we're getting today that come out of Florida, it's hard not to feel some sense of personal tragedy there. But you've got a young white male in his 20s, a Nazi, self-professed Nazi, going in with an AR-15 and killing black people in a completely racially motivated terrorist attack. And on the one hand, it's easy to be angry at that kind of loss on a sort of a individualistic level. Like, how could he do something like that? But it is worth mentioning that really this guy is just taking marching orders. There's a suspicious
This is he hasn't done a video for a while, so this is 6 months ago.
Level of detail missing when the kid left a manifesto in all these articles coming out about this situation. There are more details that are being left in the dark right now, and I have a feeling it's because you are hearing about this kind of activity happening in a state where you've got somebody running for president who has done everything he can to undermine the black community, stripping away how it's taught in schools, burning books, closing down libraries. I mean, this is somebody who hates education, who does not like...
So he is not a DeSantis fan at all.
Black people, who will attack violently any idea that doesn't seem to jibe with this conservative Christian value. The irony of that is that we get somebody going on these horrific killing sprees in the name of these kinds of Nazi conservative values. The overlap between extremist Christian ideals and Nazism and extreme conservatism is wild. And the fact that more people aren't scared by that and running away to create distance between themselves, and instead just sort of like see it as some sort of like weird anomaly. I mean, rather than like the norm, it's just scary to me that more people aren't putting that together. But the way that Republicans in that state, the way that conservatives, the way that Nazis make monsters of others on a regular basis to create a collective of people that stand together and are comforted by the fact that they have a monster to attack, that is not the way. That is not the way. Christ did not teach us to make monsters of others, to collectively use our Christian bargaining power to attack others. Here's what the scripture talks about. I have my kids memorize this verse, and we kind of laugh about it.
No, I just hear background noise. I'm trying to figure out if it's the video or here.
Because it's very repetitive. But I think it's repetitive for a reason, and it is funny to hear it, but here it is. It's from 1 Corinthians. It says this: "Praise be to the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we may comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." This is the cycle that God has for us. He will comfort us in our troubles. And we don't deserve that, but we're sustained by that. We're preserved by a God who comforts.
God, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think it might have been out here. I don't know. It sounded weird. Yeah, I don't know what that sound was. But again, this is, again, a very based video. Like, again, I'm not really behind the Christian stuff, but, like, if more Christians were like him, and I think it's great that he's using his limited platform to speak out on this stuff and kind of show that, like, hey, not all Christians are like this, I think it's fucking based as fuck. I dig it.
Why? So that we may be comforted? so that we may...
Yeah, because there are good things in the Bible that you can take away. And I think it's kind of great that, like, he's like, I'm going to focus on the good things in the Bible and push those ideas. I think that's based as fuck.
Pay that forward and be the image of God, a God of comfort, providing that comfort to those in any trouble. There is no qualifier in that verse. In trouble, Christians, people who are trying really hard to be live out the Christian ideals or conservative values, we comfort those, and we let those freaks, those people, those monsters, those people who live a depraved life, they can figure out how to comfort themselves. That ain't what Scripture preaches, man. That ain't it. It is a cycle of comfort that we ourselves don't deserve but receive from the God of all comfort, who wishes that he will provoke a lifestyle, a circle of comfort that eventually reflects back to him in his glory. That's not what happened in the Dollar General. This young terrorist, this white man, was not comforting people in their need. And we all have a need for comfort. That's the Christian ideal. It is not a monster maker. Why are more Christians not talking about that? It boggles my mind. When you hear anybody going for political points by making a monster of others, you should run and find somebody to comfort. Somebody least like you.
I'm trying to figure out that, like, the noise was coming up again. Let's replay that in a second.
Run and find somebody to comfort. Somebody least like you.
Okay, that is definitely the video. Okay. So crazy noises outside were definitely in the video. Okay. So again, like, I'm not really behind, like, the religious stuff, but, like, I'm gonna go ahead and give him some support, because I want to see Christianity take a more form of what he talks about, where it's like just positivity and, like, supporting each other rather than hating on each other. I kind of like that. Hey, we already figured out it's not here. It's actually wherever he was. It's wild. I don't know what was going on outside where he was at. But yes. So he seems like he's a Christian, but he seems fairly based overall. I'm kind of digging his vibes. I'll be blunt. I think if he talked about Christianity as much when you're just hanging out with him, it might get a bit obnoxious. But, like, I don't know, like, the overall message of what he's pushing is actually very, like, nice and kind and sympathetic and empathetic, actually, would be more accurate. So yeah, he seems like kind of a cool dude. But apparently, let's go ahead and see. They hate him. Let's see what ENDYMION says about this guy. Yeah, apparently he had a win to go outside.
What's up, everyone? It's ENDYMION, and today I got a really positive video for you that solidifies the idea of common sense is definitely winning in this crazy world after all. Of course, there's still plenty of misfires coming out, like the new He-Man show on Netflix that has debuted.
I've heard really good things about that He-Man show, so what?
To abysmal numbers. Or the apathy of the fans when it comes to many other corners of pop culture from Marvel and more. But there's one show that's eating the lunches of everything to such an astronomical degree that it'll be impossible for places like Hollywood to deny.
Okay, it feels kind of gross that he's using clips from Instachurch into this video in, like, a positive light. Like, dude, ENDYMION, you use the word woke all the time.
And that show is Reacher on Amazon Prime. So let's decipher why Reacher is exploding in popularity, why other shows are failing, and why the...
Okay, streaming numbers have been notoriously nebulous in the actual reporting, so we don't actually know the numbers. So what's your source that Reacher is exploding, and She-Hulk and Black Widow and what was the other example? Captain Marvel are failing. Captain Marvel didn't even fail. What? Like, we actually have numbers on that. That was a theatrical movie, and it was a huge smash hit.
Culture war is teetering in our favor and more. Also, I'm just going to put footage of male characters I enjoy in video games. Cool? Alright, let's begin. So of course it takes a little bit of time before the finalized ratings of shows get compiled in a nice and neat way. And now that 2023 is said and done, the Nielsen ratings for that year have officially been released, and do they ever tell an interesting story? For those unaware, the Nielsen charts are basically the definitive list of what shows are doing the best in terms of streaming across Hollywood.
They are numbers taken more seriously, but they hardly are a definitive list. Most noteworthy to be to be a Nielsen score, you have to have a Nielsen box. So they mail out boxes to, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's volunteers or what. I don't know the exact process to get a Nielsen box, but they send out Nielsen boxes to people. And, it'll just be a percentage of population will have a Nielsen box. And then when you sit down to watch something, it'll say, okay, where are you watching? How many people are watching? And then it records that you watched that. And then it'll record, how long you watched it, stuff like that. You'll get detailed stuff. But that's how that works. And you have a smaller percentage representing the greater whole. So there might be 1,000 Nielsen boxes in the entire United States to represent everybody. That's how those work.
There's no bias.
Yeah, it's volunteers, okay.
Or agenda with these numbers. It's just cold, hard facts. And based on these facts, as you can see here on screen, Reacher has absolutely dominated, especially near the tail end of 2023, where it even outperformed over Netflix's The Crown and stuff like Squid Game The Challenge. And when we
Top 10 streaming. Okay. Cool.
look at this other listing here, Reacher came in second place for overall minutes watched, just behind Netflix's Leave the World Behind, which was a movie. I think...
Okay. So Reacher's doing well?
What's really impressive here is that Reacher, which during this compiling of information only had 11 episodes available. Yet even with that, it almost doubled the entirety of the viewership of long-standing shows like Grey's Anatomy, which has over 400 episodes available.
And it's are they even still producing Grey's Anatomy? That show even ended, didn't it? It went on for ever. It was... Dude, and it's hardly at its peak. This is... Okay? And where is it actually... the charts you showed were original streaming. It wasn't, it wasn't overall streaming. Let's pull up these charts. Hold on. These aren't the same charts, but the top cable programs were all news, mostly Fox News, which is sad. Yellowstone got in there. Yellowstone was pretty big. Top broadcast programs, obviously Reacher won't qualify, but Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And then streaming titles, Outer Banks, Night Agent. I guess these are broken up by specific episodes, though. Because we got this one twice, we got this one twice. Reacher's not on here either. Where is the charts he was looking at? Let's see. Okay, so we got breakdowns on here. January 2024. All right, so the most popular streaming service is YouTube, actually, and then followed by Netflix. Netflix would definitely be the most popular subscription-based one. Top streaming programs. Grey's Anatomy is number 3. Reacher's not on this list. Oh, no, wait, yes it is. It's number 6. I mean, you can make an argument for the episode number difference, but Grey's Anatomy did outperform it. And that's the thing, I'm not even sure what the point is. Okay, so Reacher did well. As far as I can tell, it's not destroying anything. It just did well. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, I'm sure if I dig around, I could find more of these charts. But yeah, top 10 streaming and TV. It did not outperform Grey's Anatomy, although it does have less episodes. So I guess you could say that is impressive. But it didn't outperform it. I mean, if you want, whatever this Griselda is, that has way less episodes than both, and it outperformed both Grey's Anatomy and Reacher. So yeah, I'm not sure what your point is.
So it's insane when you're looking at these numbers and realize that those 11 episodes are absolutely killing it and then some, and good for them. Reacher, of course, is the antithesis of what Hollywood and streaming services largely want to push these days. Mostly because it stars
How?
a strong male character who is also straight, and also the actor behind Reacher, whose name is Alan Ritchson, is an openly devoted Christian man. That last
Yeah, but he's also not remotely a bigot. So I mean, I don't really care if you're Christian. I just don't want you to be a bigot. Bigotry is what I call out, not Christianity. He's what I've seen so far. He seems like just a good person who's a Christian, and he's showing that those are not like diametrically opposed at all. That's a weird take. I felt like I was gonna look up something, but I don't remember.
part is very important, by the way, because largely in this day and age, Christianity as
yeah, he was talking about how like it's a rarity because it's something that stars a straight white man. Well, here we have these Nielsen numbers. Young Sheldon, well, I guess it's a kid, but he grows up to be a straight white man, played by a gay actor. But yeah, there's Big Bang Theory, straight white men there. I don't know what Bluey is, or Griselda. Grey's Anatomy, Grey, the doctor, is a woman. This Is Us is ensemble. A lot of this is ensemble. Oh, wait, we can pull up more. Okay, so original. Okay, so original programming actually did quite well, although this Griselda show outperformed the shit out of it again. Okay, and then acquired. Oh, Bluey is an animated show for kids. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, Bluey's blown it away. Why doesn't he make a video about Bluey? Okay, so other shows that are popular on here. We got NCIS, which definitely stars a straight white men. I'm pretty sure Suits is straight white men. The Office is straight white men. What are these? Are these movies? Yeah, we got Legend of Star Wars. We got Mario Brothers, Legend of Tarzan, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is fairly woke, but pretty much straight white men. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I feel like we're doing okay as far as straight white men, so I don't know why. I guess you're picking out Reacher just because the dude's a Christian, but he's not. Like, I have a feeling he would not be happy with you saying, hey, isn't this guy great and on our side? Because he's not.
Religion is dogpiled on and attacked constantly. Whether it's from weird agenda-driven morons or the constant butt of a joke by celebrity music artists, take for example Lil Nas X, who alongside others like Sam Smith or Doja Cat, are all constantly using Christian imagery in order to belittle and undermine in order to push messages or spark controversies.
Okay, fun fact. Christianity is a major religion in the United States. You may have noticed it. So Christian imagery is used a lot. An absolute shit ton. So like, being like, this artist uses Christian imagery. Yeah, no shit. Everybody uses Christian imagery because everybody knows and recognizes Christian imagery, especially in this country. So yes, they do. And this isn't like a new phenomenon. Have you heard of Life of Brian, dude?
Always look on the bright side of life. Come on!
Yes, Christian imagery has been around.
Funny enough, none of these artists would ever dare to disrespect other religions the way that they do with Christianity, and that's the point here.
Well, yeah, but it's because Christianity is dominant in our culture. Very, very, very dominant.
Things like the woke mind virus absolutely do go out of their way to...
And you just said woke mind virus, and I guarantee you this guy would not be happy with that term, considering he just called out how you shouldn't say the word woke because you're using it to villainize people.
attack religions like Christianity, and it's usually because wokeness rejects the core principles of what has been deemed important to human life. Stuff like family and God have largely become replaced in this new age by degeneracy, which has...
He put up Instachurch stuff, but did he ever watch any of it? Come on.
...mutated to many different forms that I'm sure you're aware of. This is why having a show like Reacher, which promotes concepts long rejected by the industries of film or music, is so interesting to me. Because Reacher proves that the desire for normal entertainment that doesn't push agendas is at an alarmingly high rate these days.
Listen, I haven't seen Reacher, but like I have trouble believing that doesn't. Well, these guys talk about pushing agendas, and it can just be like woman standing up for herself. Like what these guys call agendas, I usually just call fucking storytelling and like interesting elements to incorporate into storytelling. Guys like Endymion are such snowflakes and can't handle shit.
And it's no surprise that given Reacher's success that the show has already been greenlit for a third season by Amazon, and it is currently filming as of the making of this video. So, why is Reacher so popular, and why should Hollywood be scared? The truth is that if Reacher had released 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been considered a standard by-the-numbers release. Considering back then...
Really? Well, I mean, I think it would be unusual to get an Amazon Prime series 10, 15 years ago, but, no, Reacher, I haven't seen it. It's probably a decent show, but it seems like it's kind of just like an action series starring Jack Reacher. I did see the Tom Cruise movies. The first one's actually totally decent, and the second one sucks pretty hard, but, I could see, and to my understanding, the issue with the Tom Cruise movies is that Tom Cruise was not built like Jack Reacher's supposed to be built. And it seems like Alan Ritchson is built like that, which is pretty awesome.
And in the early 2000s...
I also love how these guys make their own reality, too. It's like, 10 years ago, media was great. Really? I bet you there was shit media 10 years ago, too. There's shit, and there's good stuff 10 years ago, just like there's shit and there's good stuff now.
Since concepts like gender ideology and other nonsense hadn't really become mainstream yet. Reacher also falls into a very specific...
So? Why does that matter?
And very small category of projects that have all come out in the past few years. But surprisingly, everything within that small group have done gangbusters in different degrees. Movies like Spider-Man No Way Home is a prime example that superhero movies can be made in today's world without pushing nonsense. And
Explain the nonsense pushed by superhero movies. Just give me some examples. I mean, fun fact, this movie gave us a black Mary Jane Watson, or I guess I should say MJ Watson, No Way Home. And it also... was about the idea of how we should redeem people. We should rehabilitate them rather than just punish them. That was the theme of No Way Home. Rehabilitation over punishment. It's a pretty explicit theme, considering how Doctor Strange just wants to send them back and face whatever fate they need, and Spider-Man's like, no, we should try to save them.
Because of that film, it made almost $2 billion globally. Then you have movies like John Wick Chapter 4, which is another example that rejects nonsensical woke ideology.
You mean the movie where one of the main characters in the second movie is gender non-binary? You gotta just skate over that one? Okay.
In favor of fast action and badass characters instead. That film made $440 million at the box office, or about 4 times its entire budget. Another film that echoes what Reacher preaches would be Top Gun Maverick, which, big surprise there, it also made over $1 billion.
God, these guys love to fap off over Top Gun Maverick.
and is currently on its way to making a sequel as well, with all the usual suspects returning. This club of projects may not be a huge sample of movies, but the truth remains that what these movies and Reacher exemplify.
Wow, white guys starring in action movies and superhero movies. What a rare commodity. We never get those anymore. No, I swear, this is mostly what we get, and we occasionally might now get an action movie with a woman or a superhero movie starring a black person, and all of a sudden these guys are freaking the fuck out as if they're taking over, ignoring the fact that most of these movies still star white guys. This is still very much a white guy space. Like, stop being such a snowflake and grow the fuck up. I don't know what else to say.
Amplify is that whenever content is made that doesn't pander, the results are clearly nothing short of extraordinary. And of course, the more shows we see pushing these nonsensical concepts are getting nowhere near the same level of recognition or hype behind them. Take the new Netflix series Masters of the Universe Revolution, whose newest trailer has debuted currently, as of right now anyway, around 230,000 views. That is a lot of views, if you're a small independent channel like mine, for example, but for Netflix, that's peanuts. Especially if you consider that the...
Yeah, it's kind of small in the view number. What's your point? To my understanding, it's quite a good show.
Previous Masters of the Universe teaser raked in over 9 million views when it debuted 2 years ago. The comparison there is insane in terms of viewership numbers, but it proves what I've been saying for a while now. That fans are sick of weak male representation in their...
I don't know, maybe it's saying we shouldn't judge a series based on trailer view counts? Wild, I know.
Media, and Masters of the Universe Revelation did pull the old switcheroo on fans of He-Man, and instead made the main character Teela. And of course with this new series that followed...
Yeah, it was something like where He-Man died and then Teela had to, like, figure out how to bring people together. I think He-Man's back in the new one, though, isn't he? I think.
Follows that woke feminist garbage heap, the response is but an ounce compared to the interest...
Yeah, how dare they throw a twist in there and explore a character that wasn't really explored before. Those fuckfaces. Such a snowflake, I swear, these guys.
Before. Largely because fans of He-Man are like...
Well, that's the thing, oh my god, I can't speak today. Byron. That's the thing, Byron. He's not even judging it by the trailer. He's judging it by the trailer view counts. It's just such a weird, specific metric to judge it by.
Already conditioned to understand and accept that whatever Netflix is pushing here, it will likely subvert their expectations and make He-Man get sidelined again. The bait and switch has been overused far too many times in the past few years already. Take The Mandalorian over at Disney, or even Scott Pilgrim.
The Mandalorian was the main character in all the series. Yeah, Bo-Katan had a major role in Season 3. Maybe you could say she's a co-star. I don't know, I think an argument can be made, because, like, she's the one with an arc, and he does just kind of follow along. I did feel like Din Djarin could have used a bit more. That being said, the Bo-Katan stuff in Season 3 was actually really good. It was a strength of that season. So, and it's not like we didn't get Din Djarin. We got plenty of Din Djarin, so it's fine.
Takes off at Netflix, where they advertised that show as an authentic recreation of the beloved comic, only to throw Scott Pilgrim to the side at the end of episode 1 and make Ramona Flowers the main character instead. The disingenuous nature of...
Yeah, I've heard about that. That seems, to my understanding, there's a logic behind that, because it's almost listen, the Scott Pilgrim movie is great. I haven't read the books, but the movie is fan-goddamn-tastic. But an argument can be made that it's Scott essentially dealing with Ramona's issues, and maybe Ramona should deal with those issues. And it's like, yeah, I like, for the first movie, I think the storyline's fine with, Scott just, like, dealing with that. But yeah, for a follow-up, it makes sense to maybe have Ramona take more center stage. That seems like a logical course of action.
Hollywood has done nothing but create a cynicism that permeates throughout the echoed halls of fandom. And that's why, when something like Reacher is released, it feels borderline alien or ancient in terms of its qualities and subject matter. Wokeness doesn't really exist in Reacher, and gender roles are relegated to both genders in plausible and normalizing ways. Something like Reacher could never exist at somewhere like Netflix, because the
Okay, I need a citation on how Reacher couldn't exist on Netflix. Reacher's on Amazon Prime, the home of The Boys, which is pretty fucking woke.
activist-infused streaming service can't create.
And yeah, actually, yeah, you guys, when I say you guys, I mean the chuds, like Demion, I'm sure you got a few videos on it, Nerdrotic. You guys were talking about the wokeness in Rings of Power, which is an Amazon series as well. So, Amazon Prime is woke with Rings of Power, but not with Reacher, because that's convenient for my audience right now.
Much of anything without inserting.
Oh, okay. So actual fandom will be looking into this as well. This is interesting. I think I'll be interested to see what you guys look into it. But like, this is a interesting thing to look into. Yeah.
Some form of messaging into it. The only examples really that go against this at Netflix would be something like One Piece or Yu Yu Hakusho, but those shows have their creators involved, and that's probably why. However, the desire for strong male representation is at an all-time high right now.
There's plenty of strong male representation. My God. It took me a while, but it's Demion. It's pronounced Demion. It took me a while. I used to be Eddie Money and stuff like that.
When it's very clear that fans of many properties are starving for that sort of content. What's interesting is, according to Nielsen's ratings, around 58% of Reacher's viewer base is men, while the rest, of course, being women. And when you combine the
that sounds pretty standard for an action vehicle.
Insane levels of interest and watch time together, it's clear that it's a show that caters to both sides of the aisle. And it reinforces what I've always said, which is that.
Well, I mean, something like Reacher is going to reinforce more to the male side of the aisle than the woman's side of the aisle. That being said, have you considered the fact that women are frequently kind of conditioned to just kind of roll with that? Because so much stuff is made for white men that they're kind of just used to that and just kind of roll with it? Are you used to that? Do you want to acknowledge that, dude? Erectile dysfunction minion? That could be how you pronounce it, too. That sounds right, too.
If you want to make content that speaks to both men and women, ironically, filling it with strong female characters is the wrong way to go.
Oh, yeah. We can't have strong female characters. Have you thought about maybe changing the landscape so we can have strong female and strong male characters? And maybe just, I don't know, drop the gender-specific term and just have strong characters and not get caught up in the fucking gender? Is that too much?
Reacher proves that by having a powerful, competent man in a leading role, it will make men want to watch it because it personifies the qualities that they want to see in media. And this same level of representation will, of course...
You do know white men get plenty of action roles, and they're not short on that. And the fact that, like, you know, I'm completely brain farting. I feel like I'm covering so many of the same points over and over again because he is repeating quite a bit. What was his point exactly?
Personifies the qualities that they want to see in media. And
or maybe this is just the qualities that we're used to seeing in media. And again, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with Reacher. But like, you're acting like it's some rarity that there's a white guy starring in an action role, and that's pretty fucking standard.
And this same level of representation will, of course, also make women want to watch too, since Reacher stars a towering man made of muscle. If you compare...
Yeah, no, there's that aspect too. Women like looking at some eye candy. Men typically like looking at eye candy too, so it's fine.
Compare Reacher's fandom and popularity to the previously mentioned Masters of the Universe. It's a stark contrast that proves how easily a predominantly male-centric brand can be destroyed and turned into a parody of itself. I genuinely believe if Masters featured a strong He-Man that was not only competent but was the main character in every way, and exemplified...
Well, I mean, didn't He-Man come back in the sequel? Let me look that up. I'm pretty sure he did. Skeletor's back. I'm pretty sure, like, I think... try and remember, I'm pretty sure, like, He-Man and Skeletor die at the beginning. Yeah, following He-Man's return, Teela now assumes the mantle of Sorceress of Castle Grayskull. Skeletor seeks revenge after being corrupted. So, I mean, it seems like Teela's still a major character, but it seems like He-Man's back and he's fighting Skeletor. Yes. So, He-Man's back. Really tough to look that one up. That was a lot of work.
Strong masculine qualities, the show would be celebrated just as much as Reacher is. But instead, like Star Wars or Marvel, He-Man as a brand has been reduced and retrofitted to fit a female-centric demographic.
Really? It has? That's interesting. I did never heard that before. Like, just because one thing has, or like a handful of things have a woman starring in them, that means it's now a girl's brand. Or He-Man, it's just one season. And now it's a girl's brand. My God. My God, you are so fragile.
But the truth is that women hate emasculated men, both in media and in real life.
Emasculated men? I'm trying to think of when emasculated men have been prominently featured in any recent media. Citation needed? Are you going to quote Shang-Chi? Because no.
It's why whenever you hear a man refer to himself unironically as a male feminist, the best course of action is to run away as fast as you can.
Oh, wow, you can't handle a male feminist? You can't handle a man who thinks women should be treated equally? Then you're a piece of shit?
Those kinds of dudes are almost always the creepiest and weirdest amongst the poor.
I don't know. I think it's a little bit creepy. You're fawning over men while shitting on women all the time in your videos. I think that's a little fucking creepy, dude.
Pool of men out there. I'm not a feminist. I would never refer to myself as one, and I don't care who that offends either. You wanted equal opportunity and respect, then you're going to be treated like anyone else then. Women don't get a free pass in my eyes, and I couldn't care less if someone told me I need to be more accepting of nonsense like feminism. Because, if we're being honest here, a lot of the problems with not only media but the world in general is largely due to the fact of third-wave feminism running through the modern female and male demographic like crack did in the 80s. As soon as I hear a man...
God, like in my opinion, the feminism I subscribe to, and I think everybody should subscribe to, is simply men and women should be treated equally. And he acts like somehow that's like a toxic idea. I'm sorry. If you don't think men and women should be treated equally, then the fuck.
And say a woman should run the world or that he's a feminist, my first instinct is to want to throw that man into the sun and save us all the headache. Because weak weirdos like that will only lead to even weirder and confused times like the one we're in right now. Pop culture and entertainment at large has a direct impact on the behavioral tendencies and qualities.
You know, it's only weird because people like ENDYMION and Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and all these people get so goddamn triggered just because they see women or minorities on the screen. It gets incredibly frustrating. That's the only weird thing about this going on in this culture war society shit right now. That's it.
Qualities that are imbued into any given generation. A large majority of millennials, for example, were raised on 90s Disney, whereas newer generations have been raised on TikTok. And it's no surprise that the younger people of today are
Disney's still pretty influential.
More depressed, and a lot of them can't even decide what gender they are, never mind what their future aspirations should be.
Teenagers frequently go through depression. That's a common thing through all fucking generations. It's not just now. The problem is, back in the day, we weren't as good at identifying things like being transgender and stuff like that. Now we've gotten better at identifying it, and the goal is to use that to help people.
Young people are always conditioned by the entertainment they consume, regardless of the era they were born in. So it's no wonder, because of this explosion of anti-man, pro-woman stuff, every man is disposable and should die narrative, that you're seeing
I hate that he used clips from his YouTube channel, and he obviously didn't watch his YouTube channel. I'm thinking when we wrap this up, we'll play... there was another video I saw that might be interesting from his YouTube channel. We'll play that as a palate cleanser.
A massive uptick in weaker male individuals and increases in demographic groups.
Weaker male individuals? What? Is that a self-report? I think that might be a self-report right there.
Groups like incels. Because when there's no positive representation, whether it's within media, school, or more, the reality is that these young people will absorb the experiences and lessons around them like a sponge, and then use those to articulate their view of the world around them. So the more feminist anti-man media is made, not only will there be slim...
Feminist anti-man. You know, there's a difference. Being anti... Like, I wouldn't support anti-man media, but, like, just... media that says men and women are equal and should be treated equally, I 100% support that.
Slimmer pickings just in general to watch, but it will lead to future generations of weaker-minded and less desirable men. It
will lead to future generations of weaker men. Treating men and women equally leads to future generations of weaker men. Thank God you're here to save us, Endymion. Thank you. You know, you're the one that comes off as a goddamn snowflake who just can't handle seeing non-white men being badass. Grow the fuck up, dude.
Personally believe this agenda to emasculate young men is deliberate myself, and I think content in general has been slanting towards a pro-feminist, anti-man wave for a while now.
You keep on saying pro-feminist, anti-man wave. I wouldn't support an anti-man wave, but like, I haven't seen anti-men media. Not really. Occasionally you get, like, these weird fucking examples, but in general, no. Anyways, no, you do not get anti-man media. Not in general. And if we did, I wouldn't support that. Now, we might get media that's saying, hey, men, women, and minorities are equal, which I 100% agree with that message. And if you have an issue with that message... that's something you need to look at. That's something that's a debate you need to have for yourself, man, because it's kind of a self-report.
Mostly because the people being employed in many sectors were raised on gender studies and consider themselves activists. It's why colleges are largely considered more like propaganda camps these days instead of being actual spaces where people go to learn useful things.
That is just... well, listen. There are problems with colleges. There are serious fucking problems with colleges, and it's not what the fuck he's talking about. The problem with colleges is that they've just become fucking businesses. They just want to take your money and make it, and then they're not going to actually help you go out into the world and get a fucking job. Maybe they will, but like, that's more likely to be internal connections that you make or have. If you don't have those, college is supposed to facilitate stuff like that, but they don't really anymore. They just take your money and, you know, you'll learn stuff, but they're primarily looking to make a profit. And that's a problem. Colleges and schools shouldn't be about making a profit. They should be about educating people. Maybe educating people like Endymion here into realizing that instead of, like, being insecure about seeing less white men in media, maybe just work on being a better human being.
Reacher is part of that antidote towards the miasma of nonsensical anti-man rhetoric this world has become accustomed to. And like I said, it's no wonder...
Did he say rhetoric? Dude, like, I mispronounce stuff all the time, but I'm live streaming. Rhetoric, dude. Rhetoric.
Because of its existence within this time that it's leading to massive numbers in ratings. Because to say...
I couldn't imagine doing a scripted stuff and saying rhetoric. Rhetoric?
Audiences are starved for proper pro-male content would be an understatement these days. However, even in terms of Amazon Prime, where Reacher can be watched, it's still suffering from major losses anyway. For example, look here where Amazon has confirmed that there will be layoffs across their various divisions that they own. These layoffs will hit places like MGM Studios, Twitch, and Amazon Prime Video as well. As Vice President Mike Hopkins puts it here, the reason why these layoffs are happening are because it's to reduce or discontinue investments in certain areas while increasing our investment and focus on content.
So, generic corporate speak. Yes.
Content and product initiatives that deliver the most impact. These job cuts come after Amazon already got rid of around 18,000 jobs in early 2023. Most of these job cuts came from human resources, and 75% of their Comixology staff were also let go. Notice how both of these departments are things that are usually tied to stuff like feminism as well. Comixology losing 70.
Really? Okay. I thought the feminist problem was with the activists being hired by these movie studios and TV studios to push a message. But apparently it comes from human resources. Okay, cool. I'm so glad we can move that goalpost to whatever is convenient for you at that moment. That's awesome.
75% of their staff is unfortunate, but let's be real, comic books don't sell these days anyway. And it's largely because a lot of comics being made feature nothing but strong women and pathetic men, so it's no...
For fuck's sake, tell me you don't read comic books right now. Like, the only comic books I can think of that I picked up recently that were led by women were fucking Wonder Woman comic books, because, yeah, it's fucking Wonder Woman. Otherwise, it's pretty much been male-led. The fuck?
No surprise to me, at least, that this happened. As Bounding Into Comics says, they correlate these job
bounding into Christian fascism. I have to correct you on that one.
Cuts alongside this newest wave of...
If you haven't heard us talk about Bounding Into Comics yet, there's a great video on the initiative. Go check it out. We break down Bounding Into Comics and how that is just a right-wing, bigoted propaganda, frankly, and Christian propaganda as well.
Of cuts to be tied to certain sectors of Amazon not operating well. And in terms of Prime Video at least, these cuts are largely due to some shows with massive budgets like Rings of Power or Wheel of Time, which coincidentally are pro-feminist anti-man shows
What? Okay, so I wasn't a fan of Rings of Wheel of Time. I thought Rings of Power started slow but ended well. That being said, neither one of these series is anti-fucking-man. Come on, man.
Performing massively despite their huge budgets. The sobering truth is that these new ways of making content like
Rings of Power started slow, and to my understanding it performed pretty well. Again, streaming numbers we don't know, because they're cagey as fuck with them. Wheel of Time, I thought, was pretty fucking disappointing, but not because it's anti-man, because it's definitely not anti-man. That's such a weird take.
Pushing feminism on every turn are very clearly not working. And it's
but also, even if, like, you have numbers and you showed Wheel of Time underperforming, it has nothing to do with being anti-man. It has to do with it not being a great series.
Costing Amazon a lot of money in the process. Reacher, as well as the Terminal List, which is also on Amazon, are proof that you don't need a massive budget to...
Didn't Terminal List get, like, terrible reviews? I'm pretty sure it did. Actually, let's look that up real fast. Alright, so Terminal List has a strong audience score and a terrible critical reception, so... Where's Reacher at on here? Reacher's got pretty good scores.
To score huge in ratings. While we don't know the exact numbers of Reacher's budget, I would wager both seasons cost a mere fraction of what the Rings of Power's first season was.
I mean, probably.
And the fact Reacher's first 3 episodes of season 2 garnered more watch time than the Rings of Power debut, that kinda tells you everything you need to know. Not only are these budgets over-bloated and unnecessary, it ultimately...
Again, like, you're judging it based on the Nielsen. We don't know full numbers.
Comes down to the fact that audiences are just sick and tired of the man-hating agenda. It's honest.
Citation needed. Man-hating agenda. Where's the man-hating agenda in Rings of Power, bro?
Honestly absurd that a show starring a straight man who punches people and makes dad jokes has outperformed a billion-dollar budgeted show about Lord of the Rings. But this is the truth these woke morons don't want to accept. They truly believe if they just keep pushing more man-hating content, that eventually surely it will work and audiences will just accept it. But the beautiful realization is that the opposite is what's happening, and it continues to give me hope. In the early 2000s, Reacher would be a by-the-numbers show, but by today's standards, Reacher is now considered the counterculture. The anomaly.
How? The vast majority of action stuff still stars white guys. How is it counterculture? The fuck? Citation!
anomaly amidst the storm, if you will. Something so simple has proven to be effective, and it has resonated with far more people than any girl boss show could dream of. And if Amazon wants to continue to grow and pull in those record-breaking numbers, they would be smart to embrace pro-male stories that celebrate the power and heroicness of masculinity.
Pro-male numbers. Number one, are you just saying you want Amazon to just 100% just do action shows starring men? Because I can guarantee you what would happen then is that they would really secure that insecure white male market, and then just lose all the other demographics because they're not providing enough variety for everybody to jump in on. That's why they offer a range of shows for people to jump in on. So, like, if you don't like this show, watch this other show that we're also making. That's the point. Holy shit. This is not complex, bro.
Instead of labeling every example of positive male reinforcement as toxic, which many shows including video games do these days, it's in these companies'
citation. What does that?
best interest to instead promote positive male representation for not only their profits, but the betterment of society too. And hopefully Amazon realizes that
plenty of stuff still does that, my god.
That the success of
this is a really redundant video.
Reacher is not a fluke, but instead a reaction towards the nonsensical nature of where pop culture is going, and how they are uniquely in a position to cater to and profit off giving customers what they really want. Reacher is a home run, and remember, Amazon does also still have Warhammer 40k in the future as well, and they would be morons to not turn that also into a pro-man franchise.
What's an anti-man franchise? Because Rings of Power and Wheel of Time aren't fucking it, buddy.
The cards are on the table, and all Amazon needs to do is stick to common sense and push authentic, true entertainment, and they could very easily become the biggest in the business. And as I was making this video, there has been some news surrounding these cancel culture weirdos trying to go after someone else for not aligning with their views, which is of course Gina Carano. She's set to appear.
Gina Carano. Yay. Is this about the time the lawsuit was announced? Let's see.
Here at a convention in Vancouver, Canada soon. But of course, these same kinds of ideological driven individuals who act like a hive mind want Gina Carano removed from the event because of her politics. And this is what I mean when I say that
I don't think she should get removed from her politics. That being said, not so much now, but back like a couple years ago when conventions were first starting to open, I would say she should probably get removed if she's going to be anti-mask or anti-vax. That's not so much a problem now, but that wouldn't have been a problem a couple of years ago for sure.
More than ever, we need to stand up for our beliefs. Because like Reacher, Gina Carano has largely been touted as being a positive and amazing addition to strong female representation that feels authentic. But
let's face it, she is not the best actress, and let's face it, if she had just deleted those tweets, Disney probably would have renewed that franchise and she'd be on a Cara Dune spin-off series, which they were developing. But because she just couldn't resist posting shit and trying to say that being a Republican is like being a Jewish person during the fucking Holocaust, yeah, Disney said, you know what, we're not renewing your contract, get the fuck out. And you know what, that's Disney's right. And then now she's doing the Daily Wire shit, which is making no money, and she pretty much got dropped by them, and now she's suing Disney to get rehired? That's part of the lawsuit. She wants rehired by Disney. Why? I thought you had all the conservative on the conservative terror on the prairie money. Why do you want rehired by Disney? The fuck? Oh, that's right. Because you thought maybe if you go this right-wing grifter angle, you could make those big grifter bucks. But, you know, it turns out they aren't too interested in you because, you know, face it, Gina, you are a physically strong, imposing woman, and that's not the trad wife they're looking for. Sorry.
Of course, since she's conservative, she was ousted for her beliefs and then excommunicated from Hollywood. When I say these activists dislike seeing anyone but their side winning, I mean it. Some of the activists at this event had things to say like, it felt like an enormous slap in the face to like everything the convention really should be standing for, considering they should know who is their target audience. With another person saying, being young people, queer people, LGBT people, people of color, people from all walks of life that are so diverse that it feels like it's just it completely goes against, everything that they should be standing for.
So just one person was saying they didn't like that she was at the convention, and that person's allowed to say that. And you know what? They're making a point.
You see what I mean? You can't reason with these sorts of individuals and their mentality.
Gina could have just deleted the tweets because they were cringe fucking tweets. But you know what? She stuck to them. She stuck to her guns, and you guys were praising her for that. And you know what? People are criticizing her takes. Criticism is part of free speech. They're allowed to criticize. The fact that, and you know what, you're allowed to criticize their criticism, but the fact that you're acting like they're trying to, like, somehow that's like canceling her or some shit. It's criticism. Get over it.
Have largely been framed and crammed into their skulls via the entertainment and rhetorics that they worship online. The very fact that Gina Carano's
rhetoric
presence has resulted in these sorts of individuals crying foul and stomping their feet.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to nitpick, but that's just such a basic fucking word, man.
Until they get their way, is proof that these current generations...
Yes, Dane, thank you. You can't reason with these sorts of individuals, says the guy who's been unreasonable and made vague, unfounded claims the whole time. Yes! And redundant fucking shit, too. I've repeated myself like a billion times during this.
Generations are absolutely cooked, and they believe and feel this way because of the content they've been fed on a daily basis. Had the majority of normal young people been introduced to strong, authentic versions of men and women, and were taught the practices of traditional family values, they would not...
What are the authentic representation of men and women? What are those, dude? Because as far as I could tell, authentically representing men and women would be, hey, within reason, you can do pretty much anything you want, and you should pursue your dreams. That's it. That's it. I'm sure from your angle, you mean women should be trad wives and men should be, like, fucking buff action heroes or some shit. And I also want to point out, Reacher is not an authentic representation of a man. Are you serious? Fucking that dude's ripped as fuck, and he's an action hero. That's a male powers fantasy. That's not an authentic representation of a male.
Sorts of opinions. But instead, because they've been conditioned by the media, the schools, and their echo chambers, that's why we're seeing this push.
Echo chambers are what these people live in nonstop. People like ENDYMION.
Back the way we are. It's not necessarily who Gina is that frightens them, but what they believe that she
Gina's definitely in an echo chamber, which is why she thought, like, sticking it to Disney would be a good idea for her career. It is blown up in her face, frankly.
Presents. And this is why we need normal, level-headed media to return in order to dissuade and ensure future generations don't end up becoming insane, weak-minded people like these that cry when someone they don't agree with is at a convention. That, by the way, they likely won't even run into or have any interaction with themselves.
Yeah, no, it's pretty easy to avoid people at conventions. It's not a big deal.
If you ever needed to be convinced still that media has a cascading effect across entire demographics of people, it's this. These people were told Gina was evil because of their echo chambers, so now they are naturally upset.
They weren't told Gina was evil by their echo chamber. They probably saw her tweets and were just like, wow, what a bitch. It doesn't take much. They didn't listen to their echo chamber. They listened to Gina.
About it. This is why this culture war is so important, because we need to ensure that this sort of mindset doesn't permeate.
Okay, he's just doing closing shit now. Really, like, he's taking Reacher, like, as, like, number one, Alan Ritchson rejects girl boss agenda. I need a citation on that shit, seriously. But yeah, he's trying to use Reacher in a way that doesn't quite work. Number one, there's plenty of male power fantasies still being made right now, so it's not like it's a rarity at all. And like, as far as stuff that is anti-male, again, I need some citations, because your citations of Rings of Power and Wheel of Time, no, those are not anti-male. I've seen them all. I thought Rings of Power was rough, but I thought ended really strong. I thought Wheel of Time really was kind of fucking nowhere, had ups and downs, but definitely not anti-male. Anyways, Endymion kind of sucks, and he's really misrepresenting this Alan Ritchson actor and his actual beliefs. Yes, he's a Christian, but like, he's got some base takes. You know what? Let's look at. There's one more video that I want to look at, and it's a video where he is criticizing Elon Musk.
There was a king who loved wine, and generously wanted to lavish upon the good citizens of his kingdom his love of wine, and so he invited all the villagers far and wide from the countryside to his castle for a feast. And so the banquet hall was filled on feast day with friends and strangers alike, everybody eagerly awaiting to taste the king's prized wine. As the king asked the good citizens to have a seat around the banquet hall table, he began to pour wine, but he poisoned a few glasses along the way. Some of the citizenry noticed this and asked the king why he was poisoning the cups. And he said, "This is essential, that everybody enjoy the wine as is, whether it's poisoned or not." And of course, as you can imagine, his kingdom lost a few citizens that day. This is who Elon Musk is as a free speech absolutist. Knowing that some of the cups are going to be poisoned and insisting that we all partake in this feast together anyway, will not bode well for all of us. There must be some intolerance for the poison cups among us. We cannot be tolerant of everything. That's the tolerance paradox. It requires us to be intolerant of the intolerant. As a free speech absolutist, Elon Musk believes that all speech, whether it's hate speech or misinformation, something he has a penchant for, should proliferate his site. He relied on the Santa Monica Observer propaganda site with low credibility rating by the MBFC, the Media Bias and Fact Check organization. They rate it low credibility for poor sourcing, fake news, lack of ownership transparency, and often they are an imposter site. The owner of the site, SMMC LLC, appears to be inactive. So there's really no way to know who's running or operating the site, and that lack of transparency is a major issue for a newspaper, an online newspaper, trying to claim some kind of journalistic integrity. Elon has crippled ahead of the midterms, so this is politically motivated, the tools that his employees were using to use content moderation and policy enforcement tools that would manage hate speech or misinformation. So crippling that, and obviously relying on sources like the Santa Monica Observer makes Twitter a hotbed for misinformation. We've seen.
I agree, Dane. Like he comes off as super Christian, but it's the type of thing where it's like if all Christians were like this guy, I would be I might even be a Christian. Like, this is just great takes. Yeah, like he's using Christianity in the way that I feel like almost it should be used. It's like Christianity to help us elevate ourselves and be better.
How cancerous and detrimental that can be to our society. Very dangerous. And then
yeah, we that was the video I opened with. Really, like, dude, he is calling out Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump hard in that video.
Lastly, there are security issues involved with selling a verification mark, the blue check mark, to everybody. Already, I live in a world where many people are cons or frauds, and they are using my identity to seek people's affection or their money or whatever the scam is. There are at any one time dozens or hundreds of people approaching fans as if they are me or my management team, and ultimately seeking something nefarious from that interaction. And it's difficult for people to suss out who they're talking to, even with verification on Twitter and Instagram. When those imposter identities can buy the blue check mark, it's going to be infinitely harder for people to understand who they're dealing with. It is a security concern for people like myself. I, as much as anybody, want fairness. I want to live in a world where everybody is a valued customer or VIP or has a blue check mark. But there are, when it comes to this, with the anonymity that's prevalent in the online community, this is a danger to people like myself and to those who would be on the receiving end of some scam or some nefarious interactions. For that and several other reasons, I'm deleting my Twitter, and I would encourage you to as well.
Yeah, pretty fucking based. He seems like a really fucking cool dude. And I think it's really dishonest for Demion to act like he's like some anti-woke representation, because he's not remotely at all. Really, really fucking dishonest of him. But of course, like these anti-woke guys like a Demion are really, they're dishonest people at their core. And he still, as last I saw, he still brings in solid views. Yeah, he does about 100,000 views per video at least. And it's all cringe stuff. Like, Anita Sarkeesian hasn't even been active on YouTube for a while. And, like, yeah, she's using a thumbnail from one day ago. Because that's his audience. Fuck guys like this. Alan Ritchson's awesome. ENDYMIONtv is a piece of shit. It's that simple. But you know what? He's not really. Let's look that up. I don't know what this outcook is. Reacher returns with lots of action and no woke nonsense. Reacher is officially back, and that's great news for fans of entertainment that isn't woke. It's literally just an entire season of Alan Ritchson kicking butt as Jack Reacher from start to finish. Turns out following the formula stayed above is a pretty good way to guarantee success. Maybe he needs to start doing what the fuck? Of course I go to this website and then it just starts throwing random shit at me. I'm glad I went off screen. Oh god, I think we went to this website. Let's pull it up. It's gonna load. Oh yeah, these websites just run so slow. Okay. Not woke shows. Not woke shows. We got Reacher. It's not a woke show, guys. Don't look at his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel might be a little woke. Jesus. They love to misrepresent shit. They love it. It's pretty gross. It is very gross. If you want more about it, number one, Bob with the old ways was the one who pointed this out to me on the Discord server, and then Dane and Bob the old ways will be they will be looking into this.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.